Comedy Film Nerds Podcast.
Okay, so here's a movie, David, that you saw that came out a while ago. It got a little Oscar buzz. I missed it because it just didn't get enough of a push. Maybe they didn't have the money, or it didn't get the press, didn't get behind it, or what. But you said you saw Nocturnal Animals.
This was the Amy Adams movie.
Right.
Surprised you guys didn't see it.
It was
I
one
heard
of
so
those
many
that,
good things, but then
fell
like
through the cracks.
Oscar season, there's always one or two of these that I'm like, oh, I miss it. I miss it.
I saw Hell or High Water, and I wasn't as in love with that when people were saying.
Oh, interesting.
I thought like, beyond like the story's fine. I thought like Ben Foster's kind of always the same sort of dude, like this bad. He's really great at it though. And in this one, I thought he was really good.
Right.
There were two things. As someone from like kind of like a ranch background, there's a period where they're like moving cattle across the road, and this dude is riding a saddle that is obnoxiously out of place. Like whoever the character or like the costume designer was like, that's a saddle. Let's just use that. And as I'm watching, like, what the fuck is this? So there's nothing. That was
What was wrong with the saddle? Too big?
It's a show saddle. It's like a cutting saddle, like just for someone that would ride a horse in a show. And so to do ranch work, like
It's not
the
a
horn,
practical saddle.
not at all. You couldn't do any ranch stuff with it. And so that was, and maybe someone who's a show person would be there like, I'm just helping out. Like I brought my show horses. I'm just moving these cows. But the amount of times you see that in real life is like,
I gotta say, Dave, you
tiny.
have some interesting buttons.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is such an obscure one. So that was minor. Then and then like there's this bit at the
David
end.
Huntsberger's a cowpoke.
Yeah.
There's this bit, like the whole, like I get a little, I don't know. I love Jeff Bridges, but like the True Grit sort of like,
Oh, you and Chris are on the same page with that.
so
right?
that gets a little much. And then just kind of, I'll give you relief. What if I give you relief? I'll give you relief. Like that sort of, I don't know if you saw the ending, but it was fucking kind of asinine. So anyway, Hell or High Water, I felt like, yeah, if it's on the borderline, I felt like Nocturnal Animals was above that. It's more crisp. It's shot better. It's a more original story, I thought.
Tom Ford directed it. He also directed A Single Man. He was also
Which
one
I
of the.
did not like.
He was one of the writers on it too.
I think that's one of the reasons.
And he's
they
he's
may
a
have
photographer by
been,
trade,
no,
right?
fashion designer, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah,
design.
fashion designer.
You
Yeah.
can see his eye. Like there are some
Right.
shots in it that I felt were really unique. Which I don't know how often you see that. But
And I'm sure it was every wardrobe he approved.
there's no. I mean, people look. Even the bad guys and stuff. People look very stylish. You're
Right.
Like, oh, everyone here is like a very attractive group of good and bad
Yes.
people.
In great clothing.
Yeah. I mean, but even like just someone's wearing just like a tank top or something like that. You're like, well, that didn't take a lot of thought. But maybe it's like, oh, I don't want this person to be wearing like a I'm with stupid t-shirt or something like that. Whatever it is. Like it just looks realistic. It's believable. The story has, a pretty decent amount of like thought-provoking kind of stuff to it where I don't know. As I was watching it, I was just like waiting for that moment to be like, oh, I get why this didn't get nominated for anything or really didn't get noticed. There are a couple moments in the acting side of things where I was like, I just needed a little more there. Like I didn't feel this as maybe as much as I should have, and that's ridiculous.
From a specific actor, or you just thought it was like script or directing, or
Yeah, all of the above. Like
Okay.
there were just parts where like this doesn't seem like how people would react here, and those two parts are minor. They probably happen at act breaks. So
because
like,
it's Amy Adams, it's Jake Gyllenhaal, it's Michael Shannon. I mean, like these are pretty.
It's a great cast.
I think Michael Shannon got nominated,
Yeah,
and he
he was
should have.
up for supporting.
He's phenomenal in it. He's so good, and it's such an interesting character. And but Amy Adams is really good in it too. And like her getting snubbed for Arrival, I think is just asinine. Like she carries that whole movie. And then in this one, like she's integral to it. She's not as. I mean, it definitely does rely on her. She's the lead for sure, and then Jake Gyllenhaal's the other lead. And it's probably more like his kind of story. I don't know. It's both. But anyway, I had heard people kind of responding to it like, ugh, or, oh, that was just like it was exposition or something like that. But when I watched it, I thought like it was a very like rich story told in a very cool way.
Do you think that reaction that you heard from people was one of the reasons it didn't get more Oscar, or do you just because it
I
had
think-
almost a $23 million budget, which
Do you think people went into that movie going, let's just laugh our asses off?
Well, I think the only ingredient it was really missing is no one popped out of the trunk and went, I am Groot.
Yeah.
And then it would have been a home run. There's really like...
But Amy Adams had the right saddle.
She had a perfect saddle. Yeah, everything rings true in that movie, which I think everyone has that. Like if you're in the paper business and you saw something, whatever it is, you'd have it like, oh,
It's like every
not-
time one punchline came out, well, there's no locker rooms. Fucking comedy. Like
How many vets had comments on the Hurt Locker?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I love so scientists, I've asked a bunch of them on my podcast about like The Martian. And there are moments where, or even like they had a bigger problem with gravity. There'd be a lot like, but it's still a cool movie, but I couldn't get over this in Gravity. Whereas with The Martian, they're like, there are a few things, but overall, like, it works out. It checks out. And that's really impressive for someone who doesn't work in that space to write a movie and then have it be believable enough. And then luckily, like...
Hard science fiction.
Hard science fiction. And bringing in, like, consultants when they're filming it to, like, work as, well, this is how this would look. I feel like you have to do that on every movie. And if you have a cowboy scene and you're shooting it in Texas, just ask someone at the fucking diner. There's someone's going to be there that's going to go, that's the wrong saddle.
Yeah.
So that was bothersome.
You want mine? I got it in the truck.
Yeah. One of the grips must have been like, I rode to the fucking set on my horse.
So you would recommend Nocturnal Animals?
Highly,
for sure.
yeah.
Okay.
If nothing, like to me, the place it lives in is where La La Land should have lived. Like, oh, this is a fun movie. It was cool. Like, it didn't get really nominated or noticed, but it's because La La Land was edited so perfectly. The sound design's really good. It's a cool, fun story. If it lived where Nocturnal Animals does, it would be that cult movie that people loved and went like, oh, I know all the songs. It's this fun musical.
Right.
It's in the theaters. It did pretty well, but like it just got passed over. I think now it won't.
During
It was like,
busy
oh,
season.
La La Land. There's that thing that was like as celebrated as you could potentially be, minus one little asterisk at the end. And Nocturnal Animals got no attention. And yeah, I'm really curious what your thoughts are when you watch it, because I think there are some elements to it where you're like, oh, I don't love this, but overall, as far as the movie goes,
Next
like,
time you're on the show, we'll have
let's
you.
make a
we'll
note.
talk about it.
Yeah, I would love to, because I went into it with even like 10 minutes in being like, all right, where's this going? And then it's one of those movies that to me just kept winning me over. And then and it has a really great ending where I was like, this is...
And you saw it later after it had gone through everything and you heard a bunch about it, which always... we've talked about this a lot, but I think when you see a movie later that didn't get a lot of praise, sometimes you might be more prone to go, oh, it wasn't that bad. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably more on that side of things, but the thing that like propelled me to watch it was a friend of mine going, dude, this movie's really good, and it was probably my favorite movie of last year.
Word of mouth.
So I didn't go in with totally low expectations. I went in with a bit of both. Like, my friend who I trust said it's good, but by and large, the populace said, we want to hear someone say, I am Groot. And they didn't have maybe like the time to sink into it, because it's challenging. Like, it's emotionally, like, it really creates
This
a lot
is
of
why
different-
we have to... It's good we're doing the Guardian spoiler with Jackie, because we need a counterbalance to the anti-Groot over here.
I like the popcorn movies, but I don't like when they get... I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
That's
what I'm
all
talking about. they get passed through. It's like saying like everyone shits on a band like Nickelback, but what they do is very popcorny, and people get to come to their shows and dance and have fun. And like, I'm not saying Guardians of the Galaxy is that, but it's a lot closer to that than it is like fucking Velvet Underground or something. If we're making some musical comparisons, guys.
Oh, I can't wait for the Nickelback equals Guardians backlash that David Huntsberger. What's your Twitter
Guardians of the
handle,
Galaxy.
David? At Huntsberger
Now,
joke.
if you would have said bare naked ladies, I would have.
Okay, that's probably more
a little
appropriate.
more.
Yeah, not that everyone should be shitting on it, but I think what I'm getting at is like people have these two camps of like you were just shitting on the country, being like, oh, we're this dumb garbage wasteland where we don't give thought to things. Like, well, I don't think that way. But if
you should.
If we should only be these intellectuals, then we probably should ignore these big fun crash 'em up Fast and Furious movies. No more of that. We're outlawing them. We're serious. We're a serious country where we pay like strict attention to merit, and that's asinine. Like I think we all like these escape movies.
Very true.
So I'm not shitting on Guardians of the Galaxy in that way.
David Huntsberger just called them the Nickelback of movies, ladies and gentlemen.
You're gonna get a tweet from James Gunn.
I apologize to everyone out there. I feel like I wish I could give a press conference after.
I'm just trying to stir up a fake controversy. Oh, Huntsberger goes off.
I really
No.
wouldn't that be great if that was a trending thing?
Now
Hashtag Nickelburger.
Nickelburger.
There, I'm making that a thing.
I shot first, kicking heads across the